How do you build the perfect sitting volleyball player? Team Canada's Bryce Foster is here to share his recipe for success in Canada's newest breakthrough sport. This is Parasport Nation. Let's get started.
Welcome to Parasport Nation with Alex Smythe and Nathan Clement.
Welcome into Parasport Nation. I'm your host, Alex Smythe, as always joined by co-host Nathan Clement. Nathan, so great to have you back here after another long week of sports, action, activity. There's just been so much happening. I'm excited to talk to you and break it all down. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Alex. It was such a great last week for Canadian sports, and it's just super exciting to see the success. And you and I are going to dive into what happened on the 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball championships in Sun City, South Africa, but also Canada's goalball team, and also the riding success of sitting volleyball too. It's just an amazing time for our teams to do well. But diving into South Africa and the 3-on-3 tournament, we got a double MVP kind of performance out of Caddy Dadano as well as Colin Higgins on the men's side. So it was just an amazing tournament overall in the first 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball championships.
Yeah, great team play, great success on the court. That's what you would love to see. I mean, I don't think you can come up with a better finish if you're Canada wheelchair basketball. This is perfection. You nailed it top to bottom. On the flip side, though, it's got to be a bitter pill to swallow if you're Spain, because you lose in both finals, the men's and women's, to Team Canada. They were so close there, but Canada just sealed the win, had great successes, and I think this only bodes for further future success if you're looking at it from Canada's perspective. I mean, like, this is our starting point on 3x3 wheelchair basketball. So the sky's the limit from here, Nathan.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And even on their path to gold for the men, Colin Higgins mentioned in their semifinals, they lost to Australia at the Commonwealth Games back in 2022. For them to get over that hump, beat them, really bodes well, because Australia is one of those powerhouses on the 5-on-5 side. But this is a new dimension. This is a new aspect and a great part of the game that's really growing, really developing, but also going to the tournament. You had so many different countries like Malaysia really step up, really perform too. And it's a really exciting thing. But going back to Canada, just that kind of chemistry, teamwork, and just how that can be a foundational success, because outside of that run that they went on at the Paris Paralympic Games, it's been a tough last couple of years for wheelchair basketball in Canada. So to have a moment, to have a mountain that they can climb like this and reach that summit is massive and major going forward for the program when we have Worlds coming in 2026.
Yeah, well, and talking about building success on Canada's wheelchair teams, let's look at rugby, because they took away a bronze medal in Brazil. Again, another team that they had really been struggling to find consistent success on the world stage. So while it's not as impressive as the wheelchair basketball side of things, it's still a strong finish for a team that is really in transition. You got a lot of stars who are leaving the sport, new players coming in. This is the time that you start to build that chemistry. You find out what your team's going to look like this next quadrennial. I'm not mad at a bronze medal, are you?
I love a bronze medal. Bronze medal is that step in the right direction. As you mentioned, it's that transition, it's that change. And even right now with the goalball teams, the men and the women down at the America's Championships, for what they're doing right now, both on their way to the gold medal game, and just phenomenal. The women defeating the United States, and just the path that they have taken. A lot of these teams and a lot of these sports are really growing, really developing. And this is kind of how you want to start a quadrennial. This is how you want that first year to go, is really build that confidence, build that belief, and really set that foundation, set that culture right for the next 3-4 years. And even today with our interview, it's really exciting to see the culture that's being set in all of our team sports.
Yeah, well, you teased it up perfectly, Nathan. So let's head into our conversation with Bryce Foster. He is a member of Team Canada's men's sitting volleyball team. They recently came fourth in the annual Dutch sitting volleyball tournament. He joined us to recap that event, talk about the growth of the sport, and so much more. Let's get started. Bryce, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you, and why don't we get started with getting to know you a bit more? Like, can you take us through your initial introduction to sitting volleyball? Because you were approached to join the program when you were in high school, right? So what was that like initial invitation like, and how was that transition to go to sitting volleyball like for you?
It was interesting to say the least. I was in my 13th year of school. I was in my grade 13 year at high school, and basically I was playing varsity sports with my colleagues. And the now ex-head coach of the Lakehead University women's program just approached me and said, "Have you ever thought about playing parasport or para-volleyball specifically?" And I had said no. I had never really heard of it, wasn't familiar with it at the time. And he said, well, I'll find you a connection for the head coach or somebody to get involved with the program. And I started chatting with Jeff Smith, our now late head coach for Volleyball Canada, and he just brought me into the program and kind of taught me what it meant to be a parasport athlete. So that was back in 2019, and I'm still with the program here today.
Bryce, thank you for joining us. What was that early transition like going from stand-up volleyball into sitting?
It was different for sure. I mean, you basically take your legs out of the game and you go and sit down on the floor. All the same, basically, skills and fundamentals still apply to the sport, but you have to find a new way to move, and that was the most challenging part for me for sure. But I feel like it was less about the sport and more about the opportunity. Growing up here in Thunder Bay, Ontario, I never really had any sort of mentor or colleague or really person that was around my age that faced a similar physical disability as me. So to meet 13, 14 similar-minded people who all face a physical challenge was really eye-opening to me, and see how high-performance athletes they are. It was that in of its own was my best part of my experience.
Now, you had some pretty tough competitions and matches early on in your career. You had a exhibition series against the U.S., and then you were pretty quickly on the team for the Para-Pan Am Championships. Like, what were those competitions like, and how was that those initial matches for you to kind of get your feet wet into sitting volleyball then?
It was tough. I mean, I played some decently high-level sports as a child, whether it's high-performance basketball or baseball, but when you get into the international stage, it's a completely different realm. You're playing, we went to Pan Am's, we play one of the top 3 teams in the world in Brazil, and they're really, really good. So that was kind of my awakening and kind of figuring out where I was and where I needed to be, and how that's helped shape me over the last 5 or 6 years here.
You mentioned there was 13, 14 like-minded people on that roster as soon as you got on there, and you joined the team in 2019. How has your role and responsibilities evolved over that time?
That's a great question. I guess it's shifted a smidge. To start, I was just looking to find any way that I can contribute to the program, and at that point in time, I wasn't really solidified as an attacker or a setter or a defensive substitute. And I just kind of kept working as to where I could help the team, and now I'm one of our 2 starting setters. So trying to become more and more of a leader. We have lots of new bodies coming into the program, which is awesome to see, because as we all know, finding solid Paralympic athletes can be tough at times. And we have lots of new guys coming into the program, so we're really excited to see that. And now, me being around for 6 years, it's my job to try my best to help them evolve their game and find their way to benefit our program moving forward.
You talked about trying to find your place on the team and the role you would play. Can you also talk a bit about the game itself? What are the changes for someone who may not be familiar with sitting volleyball, like the differences between that game and the stand-up game?
So basically, there's a couple main modifications. The first one is that the court is significantly smaller. So the dimensions are, it's 10 feet long from baseline to baseline, and then from a width perspective, from sideline to sideline, it's 6 meters long. So it's definitely modified to make it a little bit easier for us to cover the court, but don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of court to cover sitting down. So that's one of them. At the men's game, the net height is 1.15 meters. So I'm 6'1.5" standing tall. It's about hip height for me. I could still get probably about that high over the net. and the women's net is 1.05 meters, so a little bit smaller. The only other two modifications to the game are we're playing sitting volleyball, so obviously your butt has to stay planted on the ground for the full duration of you contacting the ball, or else you get called on a butt lift. Or the last but not least, you can block serve. So when you're in serve receive and the other team's serving, we're waiting at the net to block the ball if it becomes reachable for us. So a couple neat modifications to make what a fast-paced, crazy game it is a little bit crazier.
It's so impressive watching the movement, watching the skill on the court when it's happening. I've had the pleasure of meeting Danielle Ellis on a couple occasions on the women's team, and just her movement as well as some of the men's players is just phenomenal. But you mentioned you're playing that center role and you're one of the two centers for Canada. How does the game come to you, or how do you make sure the game is presented when the ball is on your half of the court?
That's a great question. We've been trying to figure that out over the last little bit as a program, because we're not the biggest team in the world, and that's just the harsh reality. So we try and play with a little bit of faster pace, and what we try and value is the key to execution. So when we have an opportunity, we have to do our best to use that to try and score. So we're trying to kind of modify a couple things moving forward in this quad, and we're really excited to see where things go.
If you had to build your perfect sitting volleyball athlete, what are the attributes or the physical tools that would make for the perfect sitting volleyball athlete?
I would probably say it's somebody that's going to have a really tall and strong torso, because really you could have the longest legs in the world, and because you're playing sitting down, it doesn't really matter, right? So you have to be long and you have to be tall. That's kind of one of the main advantages that you see worldwide, is that you see lots of people that are very long and strong armed, and it gives them quite a significant advantage. But really, I mean, the lower body aspect does make a difference, because if you want to be a well-rounded player, you have to be able to use your either leg or legs to move. So it's sitting volleyball is one of those sports that it's really tough to be good at one thing, where it's a sport that you have to be well-rounded if you want to be an effective player. And that's probably the toughest thing, is you're not mastering one necessary skill. You're trying to look at everything very holistic and figure out how you can be a jack of all trades.
It's been quite a summer so far for the team. You and the squad captured bronze at the America Zonals, as well as just came fourth at the Dutch tournament. How is the team feeling with these results?
I think we're feeling pretty optimistic. I mean, the zonal matches weren't necessarily the outcome that we wanted. The U.S. is a team that we always see in semifinal matchups whenever we play them, and again, we lose in another fifth setter, which is heartbreaking, but we're really right there, and we proved in the first and fourth set that we played against them that we can play with them, and if we execute game plan and really stick to what we know, we're a very solid team. So although not the result we wanted, we're still there. And I mean, when we went to the Netherlands, it was quite the experience. That was my first time attending the event, and what an event it was. It's awesome for us to go play those European teams, because we don't get to see them a ton, unfortunately, and they do play some very solid volleyball and a little bit of a different style than what we see here in North America. So something that we don't see, and we did what we wanted to do. Our goal was to come in the top four, and we did that with a very gritty 5-set reverse sweep against Italy. So we were very proud of the effort that the guys showed, and there were lots of guys that stepped into new roles, so we were really excited to see people step into those new roles and really just do their best, and that's all we asked. So we were very, very happy with those results.
The program, both on the men's and women's side, seemed to be making a lot of progress in recent years. Obviously, we just saw the women last summer in Paris win the first ever medal for sitting volleyball and the bronze in Paris. Does it give you and the team confidence that, okay, we're trending upwards, we're gaining good momentum, maybe the next cycle of World Championships or maybe into LA 28, there's an opportunity here to really get a strong result, maybe break through, have some personal bests on the team going forward?
That's definitely what we're looking to see. I mean, we've went through kind of a full-blown program switch where we now have a new head coach, and we've got some new bodies within the program, and really from a coaching staff and management perspective, we have a lot of new faces. So it's really neat to see how those new bodies are positively affecting our program and giving us a different outlook for the next 3 years going into 2028. So That's definitely the goal, and like you said, whether it happens at World Championships or Zonals or Last Chance, I think we're working towards Zonals being our best chance to qualify. So it's everything that we do from now until then affects our opportunities. So we're trying to value each and every chance we get together, and really just trying to stay positive and working hard to that goal to qualify for 2028.
It's seeming like a really exciting time for sitting volleyball across Canada, with a lot of programs launching. I know there's intercollegiate sitting volleyball happening in Ontario now, but as well as the Ontario Volleyball Association had its first ever high performance sitting volleyball training camp. Since you've joined in 2019, how have you seen the growth of the sport in Ontario, but also across the country?
It's awesome. Sitting volleyball is something that you don't have to have some sort of physical challenge or disability to play. It's one of those sports that, like I said, the same rules apply. You just apply them in a different way, and it's a super fun sport. So what the OVA's been doing is awesome, where now they run their provincial tournaments, as well as now they're starting an Ontario provincial team, which is awesome, to get people out and playing and just giving them an opportunity to learn about the game, to see if it's something that they'd like to try and compete at the international level. And that's happening all across the country. The Alberta Volleyball Association is doing a great job of giving us exposure and giving people opportunities to try, and that's something that we as a team really like to do, is not only raise awareness for sitting volleyball, but just Paralympic sport in general, where we have all these great sports that are at our availability and that are so fun to play. You don't have to have a disability to play them, and not many people know that, so we're trying to spread the word to make sure that people know about us and the hard work that we put in.
What would you love to see happen to the sitting volleyball program in Canada? Obviously, talking about the growth at the grassroots level, but what would you like to see to help continue to push the movement forward and allow you and the other national team to kind of be the best they can be as athletes on the court?
I think we're really moving in the right direction. I mean, I started in 2019 at a spot where unfortunately we just didn't have a ton of funding, and that the lulls come in Paralympic cycles, and that's just the reality. But we're seeing less and less of those, where this would theoretically be a year where there was not a ton going on. And look, we've already had a zonal championship where we went to the Dutch tournament, and we have Fort Wayne coming up in October. So this is a really big year for us to build some foundational roots, and from the government perspective, from Sport Canada, and from our NSO and Volleyball Canada, they've done a really good job at supporting us, and we're very thankful for that.
Although it's just under a year out right now, you mentioned the Fort Wayne World Cup happening, but what does the process look like leading into World Championships in 2026? It's going to look very similar to what we have going right now, where me being in Thunder Bay, I'll fly out to Calgary the third week of multiple months to go and train with the team. And then hopefully we'll have some sort of exhibition series, which either the US or some other national team to get us prepared for that event. Because when you go to World Championships, I was there in Bosnia and Herzegovina in 2022. You see teams that you're not very familiar with, different styles of volleyball, and it's just a very long event. So we have to try to do our best to prepare ourselves for whatever we may see, and that's just something that you have to expect the unexpected. So it's always an exciting opportunity to compete, but at the end of the day, we just have to put our best foot forward and see what happens.
Oh, absolutely. And part of that exposure, not only to other teams, but other locations, you get to travel a lot, you get to experience a lot. One thing we love to find out on this program is your favorite food destination. Not only do we love sports, we love food as well. What is the favorite food destination of yours that you've had a chance to travel to?
That's a great question. I would say I got really lucky when I first joined the team and we went to Miraflores, when we went to Lima, Peru. It's one of the culinary capitals of the world, and although we didn't get to experience it a ton, at the very end we got to go to Miraflores, and the food was incredible. That's probably the best food we've had so far.
And as well, one of the best parts of the sport is the music, whether it's the crowd entrances or different things like that. If you could have a walkout song, what would it be?
I'm a big Drake fan, so if I had to go with one right now, I'd probably go with Nokia by Drake.
Lastly, for you, do you have any advice for someone who may be kind of watching this interview or discovering sitting volleyball for the first time? Maybe they're unsure if they should give it a try. What would you say to convince them to try it?
I would say just reach out. There's myself, and we have a really supporting group of guys where if you have any questions or need anything, reach out to us on any of our platforms, whether that's the Sitting Canucks Instagram page, my personal Instagram page, or any of our staff, because we always want new people to come out and try it. Whether you think that that's a reality or not, it doesn't matter. It's just great to meet, like I said, like-minded people that face the same challenges. So if you guys have any questions or need anything, please reach out to myself or any of my teammates. We're always here to help.
Bryce, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. This is great.
And that was our conversation with Bryce Foster of the men's sitting volleyball team. Lots to take away from that conversation, Nathan. I think one of the things I really did love, though, is him really kind of describing the perfect sitting volleyball player, describing, well, having that long torso, so you have more of that reach, that balance, that kind of core strength, so you are able to move, you can be nimble on the court while still having to keep your butt firmly planted on the ground.
Yeah, it's the game within the game, and just how your body's built plays such a big hand, especially as him as a center. That is a pivotal role in the court, moving around, making sure he can block, but also be on the attack when he has to. So just that breakdown there too, but just even the inside of the game, how you develop, how you really build that chemistry with your team. I just loved it. And even what he was mentioning on the developmental side with what Ontario's doing is just phenomenal in the steps and growth that we are seeing right now in the men's sitting volleyball team, and just how that confidence is getting so high.
Yeah, and they are so close to really having that sustained success on the international stage. It's been a long time coming. They always kind of trailed as long as I can remember, we're really trailing the women's program, and we just saw the women's breakthrough in Paris, coming away with that historic bronze medal. But I feel like the men are just as close. I think this next quadrennial, there's going to be a lot of development, a lot of growth that takes place within this team. You'll start to see more success going forward. Maybe you start to see more podiums and stronger finishes at these international competitions because of the things that has been taking place at home, that development in Ontario and like some of these other areas across the country that become these hubs for training. And so the more support you get, the more development that's in place. It takes a while to pay off, but I think now we're right on the cusp of seeing that payoff, seeing that success from athletes who have been training and growing here at home are now ready to take center stage internationally. So that is really exciting for me. But it's not the only thing that's exciting. And when you want to talk about international stage, like there's no bigger spotlight at this time of year in the month of August for fans of sports in general, I'd say, the Madden 2026 cover athlete. Now we're switching over to the sports and gaming realm, but Nathan, you and I, we're both gamers, we're both sports fans, we're both lovers of everything that has to do with Madden. So this is such a unique time of year because it's always the big conversation. Who's going to be the cover athlete? Who's going to be kind of the face of that video game franchise going forward? But that's all to do with football. That's great. I love football. You know how much I love football. But I wanted to bring this idea forward to you. If we had to create our own PSN 26 video game featuring Paralympic athletes or parasports, who would be your PSN 2026 cover athlete?
That is a great question, but we don't need to go into the ethics of a creative player for a disabled sports video game. But for a cover athlete, right now with Milano Cortina coming up, I think you have to go that winter route. And there's two people that come to mind, those combined kind of game covers. I think back to 2010 when you had Danny Morrison and Lindsey Vonn on there, or even some famous Madden ones where you had Ben Roethlisberger and Larry Fitzgerald on there. I'm thinking you need to get friend of the program, captain of Canada's para ice hockey team, Tyler McGregor on, going up against Declan Farmer of the U.S. para ice hockey team. I think that would be an amazing cover of that head-to-head clash, that showdown that we're going to have in several months' time when everyone's going to be in during the wintertime watching parasport, watching the games, and once that game's over, you can go play it. So I think that would be the perfect cover and cover athletes for the cover. How about you?
I'm sharing a lot of your vision. I agree. I think it has to be a winter athlete. We got to focus in on Milano Cortina. That is the biggest event taking place in 2026. I didn't think about hockey. I thought about the ski program and specifically biathlon, because I think a cover athlete should be someone who's not only had great success in the year leading up to being the cover athlete, but also name recognition, a history of success. I don't think anyone represents that better than Mark Lorenz. I mean, consistency, excellence. He is a 12-time Paralympic medalist. He is a 3-time consecutive winner of the Crystal Globe for the best overall athlete in biathlon. He's won 4 in his career. This is his 3rd time winning it in a row. I think while I like your cover of having the 2 hockey players going head to head, I just think him crouched down with the gun in his hand, aiming at the cover, like that's got to be a pretty cool image as well. I think I want to go with Mark Lorenz. I want to go with him in a really cool shooting stance with the gun, because guns make anything look cooler. So that is my vote for my PSN 26 cover athlete. What do you think of that one?
I love it. That was one of the people I was thinking about a lot, was Mark Lorenz, or even Natalie Wilkie would be an amazing cover athlete. Yeah. But I'm glad you chose that one, because that was an either or between me, Tyler McGregor, Declan Farmer, or Mark Lorenz. So I'm glad we're both not choosing the same thing. But either way, I think they're great covers. But what people want to know is, in video games, there's often music that accompanies the background. And for today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a Mount Rushmore, because we've asked so many athletes their Mount Rushmores. Now it's time for us to share ours, but we're going to do it in a different way, where it's a draft that we're going to be alternating our picks, trying to make sure that we're not going to be stealing each other's or playing a little bit of gamesmanship. So Alex, would you have an all-time first round pick of a song that you would want to have in a video game?
Yeah, so all my song choices that I'm going to be choosing are sport connective songs you're going to hear in a sports game, in an arena. It makes sense. It's going to pump you up. It's going to get you ready to play, whether it's football, hockey, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, it's getting you pumped up. So my first choice is a classic. This one was from an iconic sports movie. Now it's forever going to live within our PSN 26 video game, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Hard to argue against a more iconic sports song than that.
That's a good start. That's a really strong and solid start. Now, I'm a kid of hockey. I played NHL 2004, NHL 2006, and NHL 07, often against my brother in good, great battles. And there's one song that always sticks out to me in those video games. It's a Canadian band, Canadian artist. I got to go Red Flag by Billy Talent. Just an absolute classic. Every time that came on, it would get you going as a kid. And I think that would be a great song to have a part of my version of the video game.
Well, there you go. And because I chose first, you chose second. Back over to me this time. We're not doing a snake draft. We're going back and forth. Next up, another iconic rock and roll song, arena anthem song. I'm going AC/DC this time, Thunderstruck.
Ooh, that's solid. We're going anthem for me as well. I've mentioned it in the past. Overall, it's a song that will get you going. It's a song that people will sing. And our producer, Jeff Ryman, knows his football team, the Buffalo Bills, plays it every transition from the third to fourth quarter. I'm going Mr. Brightside by The Killers as my second round pick.
That's pretty good. Now that I got the stars out of the way, the ones I needed to make sure I locked down quickly, I get to go a bit more obscure, ones that I just personally love. This one was actually in the NHL Hits, I think 2003 video game. So it was the like more extreme, like fun version of the sports game. It is Rob Zombie, Never Gonna Stop. It's a bit unusual. Maybe people don't know it as much, but it is a great video game sports song.
That is a fantastic pick. If you notice with kind of my themes, they're very like already have been in video games, and I'm sticking with that again. This time I'm going into the FIFA tree. For my pick, for my third round overall selection, I got to go with My Type by Saint Motel. Just a great summary kind of play along, especially after you lose a game. That's one of the songs that's not going to cause you to throw a controller against the wall or let out all the emotions. It's one of those like high beat, high rhythm songs, motions, and just sounds great, especially in the summer months or when you're dreaming of that warm weather in the middle of winter.
Yeah, no, that is a great pick. And I wanted to include my list with something that, you unfortunately, you don't always win when you play. Sometimes you deal with a bit of adversity. But when you get knocked down, you got to get up again. And you're never going to be kept down. So that's why I'm going with Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, throwing it back to the 90s, baby. A one-hit wonder, but I think it really sums up the video game, the sports game mentality. You got to do it again, and that's why that's my final choice.
I love to get up and get down, so I love that Thumpawumping pick. Now, this is where, because I had a pick, but you went 90s, so I want to dive into the 90s here. So I'm just going to run through and just pick out a bunch of songs from there, and you're going to help me pick my last one, okay? I don't know why it comes to mind, but Glycerine by Bush really stands out as a song, as well as, although this song came out in the 2000s, I think that punk era was amazing, and hence why I picked Billy Talent, Red Flag as my 101. I also think you need some Sum 41 in there too. Could be a real good just pick. As well as some Foo Fighters would be amazing. I think Everlong. I think some other kind of
the Pretender. I mean,
the Pretender,
Times Like These. I mean, My Hero. Even if you want to be the star of there's so many great options. I do like Sum 41. You go In Too Deep, or you do Fat Lip, or one of those. I think those would be a great throwback. Needless to say, I think all of our songs pretty much are just a throwback. We're creating a retro soundtrack here with our themes. That's for sure.
For sure. And I think I have to go In Too Deep by Sum 41 as my pick, but there's so much nostalgia that could be not plaguing our picks, but definitely having a heavy hand in it. But that's kind of the great thing about video games is whether it's a FIFA, an NHL, a Madden, when you think back to that childhood, when you were playing that at 12, 13, 14 years old, you think of those songs and those songs connect with you. And although we're a little bit of an older generation now, there's a lot of younger kids that are going to be trying FC 26, EA Sports FC 26, NHL 26, or Madden 26, or even the college football game. And for the first time, and they're going to have their own songs that they're going to be sticking with for years and years to come when eventually Madden 41 comes out or something like that. So it's really amazing just what can be created and what memories can be created from these songs.
Absolutely. It's always great times. There's always a time to play some music. And for us, that time is now because we're out of time on today's episode. Thank you for watching and listening. For Nathan, I'm Alex. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Parasport Nation. Like and subscribe to the channel to follow us now.